So, have I ever told you about the first time I've done Sananga drops? They are these drops here. They're covered because you want to protect them from light. So little dropper, Sananga drops. It comes from the Sananga tree and they juice the root of the tree. Now Sananga drops are really good for a vast array of eye problems, whether cataracts, glaucoma, astigmatism. The other thing about these eye drops is that they help open your third eye. So I got to tell you about the first time I took these drops. And yo, this is a story. So I hope you're sitting back. You got your tea, coffee, whatever, a little something stronger. So we were in Colombia, and it's a group of us, and the girls, we all stayed together. So that night, we all took the Sananga drops. I went first, and if you haven't taken the drops before, in some circles it's called lightning in the eyes. Now that kind of sounds cool, but when you think about it, lightning in your eyes, that means the shit burns. So it only burns maybe about 1 to 2 minutes, but sometimes it could feel like forever. I've taken these drops since I've been back here in the States, and I definitely feel like the sensation has intensified quite a bit. So back to the story. So we were in Colombia. It was the night before we were going to do our ayahuasca ceremony, and Carlos, a friend that we met there, gave us a Sananga drop. So like I said, I went first, did my 2 minutes of time, of burning time, and it was good. And immediately after the drops, you could see clear. So the other thing I forgot to mention is a lot of indigenous tribes use these Sananga drops when they go hunting in the rainforest at night because it helps them see the night like if it was day. Can you imagine that? Like if this was nighttime, like it damn well could be nighttime, right? Insane. So like I was saying, like this could be nighttime to them because they've taken the Sananga drops. So back to the story. I take my Sananga drops first, then everybody else in the group starts taking the Sananga eye drops. And it's nighttime, and then we have the ayahuasca ceremony, so we all want to be fresh for the ayahuasca ceremony. So we all go to bed. So mind you, I'm a really heavy sleeper. Like I don't generally wake up for anything unless it's like life-changing. So I'm sleeping and I'm in the room with the girls and I start to hear this moan. And I, like you're still sleepy, and so you're like, wait, what? What did I just hear? And then I heard a moan. I heard a moan from one bed. And then I heard a moan from the other bed. And I was like, oh, okay. So knowing about the effects of Sananga, I figured, okay, both of these girls are probably in the same dream. They're at some party that I wasn't invited to. Hey, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Like, I'm good, right? So then I hear the other girl moan again, but her moan this time, it didn't seem well at all. It was like a cry for help. And so I'm like, shit, I literally just met this girl. I don't know her that well. And I've been traumatized by waking people up before. I don't know if you have. So I'm thinking, okay, what's the best way to wake her up? So what I do is I like gently rub her leg to wake her up. So as I'm like stroking her leg, like very gently, right? Because I don't know, she like could wake up out of her sleep and like kick, punch, whatever. She wakes up out of her sleep, like almost like if I could liken it to like the movies where the mummies, they come back to life and all of a sudden they're upright, but like really fast. And she just bursts into tears. And I'm like, shit, uh-oh. And she's just crying and crying. And she's like, I was in a nightmare and I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of this nightmare. It was so bad. And she's bawling and bawling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy, And so I give her time. And then she slowly starts to recount the nightmare. So like as she's telling this nightmare, the other girl had woken up, and she's a little bit older lady, so she's kind of cranky, like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all up? So, she's recounting her nightmare, and the craziest thing happened. As she's telling me what happened in her nightmare, it was like I was there. It was like I was there with her. I'm telling you, y'all, I'm an empathic person, and so I generally can sense people's energy. But what I felt from her that night, it was like it was my own. Like I was feeling the torment, the anguish, the sadness, the fear, all of that just hit me like a ton of bricks. So I'm thinking, okay, it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. We got ayahuasca in less than 24 hours. So I, suggested to her, why don't you go outside, get some fresh air, right? So she goes outside, she gets some fresh air. And I'm also thinking, okay, this will give the energy a chance to like leave, dissipate, whatever. So she leaves the room, and I'm sitting still in the bed, and the heaviness that was on my chest, y'all, I still can't believe it to this day, how heavy it felt. So immediately I'm like, fuck, I gotta go outside too. I need to release this because I can't go back to sleep with this heaviness on me. So we end up going outside and researching her dream, figuring out what it was about. And coincidentally, it was exactly the reason why she traveled to Colombia. So she got the confirmation that she needed that night before the ayahuasca ceremony, which was beautiful. So we ended up staying up until it was breakfast time. So we figured the other girl in the room, was going to be up so I can go back in there. So I went in the room, y'all. And tell me why. She's like, you will not believe this dream I have. And I'm like, not again. So as she is recounting the dream she had a dream about the girl in the room, the girl who had the nightmare. And she said in her dream, the girl was really anguished, and she was looking for answers and flipping through things, and she was hysterical. And she said she kept crying out to her. But when she would cry out, get this, y'all, nothing would come out of her mouth in the dream. And at this point, it's like it hits me that aha. I'm like, wait, but I heard you. I heard you last night. I was able to hear you calling out to the other girl in the room who's having the nightmare. So it's like this night, the three of us were synced in this crazy experience. And then again, as she's recounting her dream and what happened and how she basically had a lucid dream of what was going on, I felt that same energy, that same weight, that same emotion, that same sadness hit me, smack me in the face like a ton of bricks, y'all. I ain't lying. And again, I'm smacked, I'm bitch slapped in the face with these emotions like it was mine. I felt that pain, I felt that frustration, and it was nothing like I've ever felt before. And so by this time, they had called us to go and have breakfast with everyone. And as soon as I sit down at the breakfast table, I burst into tears. I couldn't stop crying. The weight of the emotion, the sadness, the heaviness, I hysterically was crying and could not, not the boo-hoo, like the ugly, nasty, snotty cry, y'all. From listening to somebody recount their dreams of someone else who went through a nightmare. So tell me, how does that happen? And the only thing I can think of is that it was the drops. It was these Sananga drops that we took that night. And everyone who took the drops that night had crazy dreams. Most of them, the other two had good dreams. They had messages in the dreams. I'll say that. I was the only one who didn't dream that night, but was very much a part of the people, the ladies that I was in the room with, and part of their dream, their story, and their journey, which was an absolutely beautiful experience. So if you haven't tried the Sananga drops, I would highly recommend them, but just be mindful of what you're going to get yourself into. I mean, some crazy shit can happen. But it was a beautiful experience, and I'm happy to be able to hold space for both of those ladies. But I tell you, I experienced that one other time during our trip where I felt someone's emotion like it was mine, and the heaviness of it was just so much that I needed to release it. And it's crazy. It's absolutely amazing. So that was my story about the Sananga drops.